One. Hey guys, welcome back for the final episode of The Cast of Us. This is our Last of Us discussion show. We're going to be talking about the season finale. I'm KassemG. With me, as always, is Bruce Green. Bruce?
Good to see you, Cass. It always is. We need to get this podcast together for season 2 of Last of Us because we already know there's going to be a season 2.
We already know. And, one thing I learned, and, this isn't too much. And by the way, there are going to be lots of spoilers, okay? If you didn't catch last night's episode of The Last of Us, do us a favor. Just put us on mute. Don't close the tab or anything. We could really use the views. But we're going to be getting into everything that happened. Talk a little bit about the video game and how it relates, but mostly just about the TV show. But yeah, spoilers. And one of these spoilers is, there's going to be a season 2, which is not a huge spoiler. But they did talk about how they, during their podcast that they do, where it's Troy Baker that hosts Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, who are the two folks that made the game. Neil Druckmann made the game, and Craig Mazin directed and wrote and produced the TV show with Neil. How season 2 is going to follow a similar route. Now, I tried to read between the lines here, okay? And they were talking about how they were going to approach season 2 the same way they approached season 1, which is they're going to make changes where they see fit, where it helps the story, and they don't feel like they have to mirror the game and so closely.
Really?
And they did mirror it pretty closely in season 1, but they did take a few liberties here and there, and they added some things that weren't in the game. Now, the second installment of the game, I personally really liked, but I know you may have thoughts about it. I know people have thoughts about the second installment. What I read from that statement was, we're not going to do the thing that we did that was the big spoiler, and in that way or in that timeline.
You don't think so? I
don't think they're going to do it, and Ashley seems to think that they may sort of like spend more time developing the Abby storyline, and I wouldn't be surprised if they that's the biggest change that they make from the first game and the second game, is that they take their time with that big event that happens in the second game.
That's interesting. I thought that the way that season 1 played out of the television show of Last of Us, I assumed they would take The Last of Us Part 2, the video game, and then make 2 seasons out of it. And the first season is, and I don't want to spoil the video game, but the first season is one chunk, and the second season is the next chunk.
Yeah.
I assumed that's what they were going to do, but I could be wrong. Because the second game is much more fleshed out. It's way longer. It's like 30 hours of gameplay. And so I thought that they had enough for 2 seasons of television show from just the second video game. But I could be wrong.
Right. I mean, that's a great guess, too. I guess we won't know until it comes out. And then CS Schleg1, thank you for the Prime sub. Thank you, guys, if you're tuning in live to the Twitch, for the follows and the subs.
Sorry, I'm so quiet. I'm trying to talk loud for you.
I'm trying.
I don't know if Kassem can bring me up a little bit.
I just tried to bring you up, Max, over here. Let me take another gander over here at it. Let's see what we can do.
How do I sound?
Check.
Yeah. I am a little quiet. I get that. I hear you.
It's so funny how nothing changes, and like at any week, you can just be really low or not.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I find it frustrating, and especially when I would rather be hearing you and not me. Paulie, thank you so much for the Prime.
Sorry, chat, everybody. Sorry, chat.
We're doing our best, guys.
We didn't change anything either.
Nothing.
Nothing's changed.
I haven't touched a single thing. I'm going to try and raise your decibels here a bunch, but I don't know if that'll change anything. But I did not change a single thing.
No, I know. I believe you. Kassem was trying to silence me, chat. Kassem was trying to silence me.
Is it that bad? Is it to the point where I need to reboot here, or is it doable?
No.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right.
Just talk loud. Just talk loud.
Yeah, really get on your mic. Let's talk about the episode. This last episode, season 9, was called Look for the Light. It is the last episode, our season finale. Bruce, what'd you think?
I liked it. I really liked the television show episode. I have issues with the narrative and always have, and it plays out just like The Last of Us Part 1, the game. So I'll talk about those issues, but the show itself is like pretty masterful. Acting's great, production's great, cinematography's amazing. I mean, like there isn't much I can say truly about the television show because it is really great. That said, I am absolutely miserable watching it. So, but the show itself is very, very good, and I know it's up to a very high quality. But I will explain as to why I am miserable later on once we get into the episode.
Yeah, look, I think the show's really well done. I thought every change that they made that differed from the video game was well thought out and appropriate, and wonderfully cast. It's wonderfully shot. There's only a couple times where I looked at the CGI and I'm like, but like in this episode with the giraffe, all the makeup with the clickers, fantastic. It was really great. It really did the game justice, and I feel like every adaptation should try and follow some sort of blueprint here.
Yes, we know the giraffe was real. Yes, we are aware the giraffe was real. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, well,
Did
look,
you know that,
no, I was watching. Okay, great. That's good to know. I was watching and I'm going like, on the two shot when they're behind him, it looks like a giraffe was put on a green screen, but they could have all been in the room together. But then I was like, would they have done that, or does it make sense to just shoot the giraffe? But like it did seem. So tell me what happened there and how they shot that.
So here's what I thought. It looked like a set they were standing on. They had a giraffe also on set, and behind the giraffe was the green screen.
Okay, so just like I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and then they just had the giraffe. Then they were just feeding the giraffe in front of a green screen.
I like that because then you get some real natural reactions. I've fed giraffes. I got to tell you, it is a thrill. Yes.
You have? When did you do that?
I've done this at the zoo, okay?
That's so cool.
There wasn't a wild giraffe in an abandoned building, but I still feel like I got the same feeling. You pay like $20 for some goddamn lettuce, and then you have to like stick out your hand like this, and their big old black tongues just come out, and they just like, and it's an erotic experience, and then you and the giraffe get to smoke cigarettes after. So
really,
they do this at the San Diego Zoo. Can you believe it?
I can't believe that.
It's an open air zoo. That's why you're allowed to smoke. It is fun. Her reaction was really nice and genuine, and I'm glad that we finally got to have that moment. I thought it was going to come earlier for whatever reason, but it's nice to have had that moment. Overall,
talk about the beginning. Talk about the beginning of the episode.
Well, let me give you my overall thoughts.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Thought it was kind of a weak episode compared
I'm
comparing them to the rest. And everyone's going to hate that I say this, all right?
No, they're not.
Everyone's going to, because I've been saying it all season.
I'm not going to hate it.
And I just can't get to the same place that I got to with Station 11, Bruce.
Oh my God!
I just can't get. I just can't get there. And by the way, thanks to all the Case heads for the raid. Thank you, Case. Appreciate you, brother.
Sorry, we know that I'm quiet. We've tried to bring me up, and it don't work. So sorry, we apologize.
Yes, and this is my attempt at. This is an alpha move. I read this in my book. Of how to be.
You wrote a book. You read it in your own book.
Yeah, it's just how to like be an alpha. I wrote the book and then I read the book, and then this is you just got to be louder than the other guy. So I apologize, guys. We're doing our best. We were told the guest chat feature, the guest star feature, was going to be fixed after they did this update. So I apologize, but enough with that. By the way, Kevier West, thank you for the Prime sub.
Station 11.
Wonderfully made, wonderfully acted, cast. The emotional connection for me wasn't there. I felt, because in Station 11, there are two main characters, and the feeling, the overwhelming sort of like emotional attachment I had to those two characters is what keeps me from kind of, I compare it to Joel and Ellie, and Though I love their relationship. I love when he called her baby girl. I love how they turned the corner and now he's like a father figure and all this. And I just don't. It's not there for me as much.
Okay,
and
that's all right.
and that's and I feel bad. And there's a lot of folks that have never seen Station 11. They're big Last of Us fans, and they're just like, fuck this guy, and that's okay. And that's all right. You're allowed to feel that way. I'm not here. I'm not attacking you guys. Okay, that's just how I feel.
He would never attack you.
I would never
only attack me.
I would, and I'm doing that.
Keeping me very low.
It is my goal as a brown man to silence the white man, to oppress the white man, and that's what I'm doing.
Anything about color here?
No, well, that's what it is. It's a color thing. This is a race issue. But other than that, those are our overall first impressions. Let's get into the episode. What do you say, birthday boy?
Let's do it, Cass. I'm ready.
We're greeted with this lovely face, Ashley Johnson, right at the top of the show, and we know
from the
Ashley.
Video game. That's her. She's Ellie.
What'd you think? What'd you think of this when you saw her up on that screen there, Bruce?
Oh, she killed it. My gosh, she was great. I mean, like, just her. Honestly, I liked this part of the episode more than the rest of the episode. So I was really excited and kind of. This isn't from the video game, correct? They didn't.
No.
No.
Neil Druckmann spoke about this. He said there was a separate short that he had written this character for that they wanted to do a live action, maybe even an animated short film, short story that involved Ellie's mom. But he did have this sort of character and the idea of how she was carrying Ellie as a baby. They didn't come up with this for the show. This was already sort of out there in the world.
Oh, okay. All right. So why don't you talk us through the summary of this little prologue, and then I have a couple of little theories that are fun.
Okay. Oh, I'd love to hear them. Yeah, essentially, Annie, I think her name is, or Anna or Annie. She is
Anna.
Anna. She's running through, and she's obviously being chased by some runners, and she finds this home, which I think we might see in the second game. This home looks familiar.
Oh, yeah. It looks very familiar. Yeah, you're right.
And here she is, sort of like in a full-blown labor, and she sort of holds up in this room. She puts a chair up into the door, but the chair doesn't hold, and she's essentially attacked by a runner and is bit. And we see that she's bit, but we also see that she somehow gave birth during this little tussle that she has with the runner, and cuts the umbilical cord sort of at a very sort of controversial time.
They pull the narrative trick, by the way, Kassem, that we talked about previously in other podcasts, which was the attack happens, she stabs the runner. We're like, whew, she made it, she's safe. And she looks at her leg.
Yes.
And, they reveal a bite. They're like, we've seen that a bunch of times in this show.
Me and Bruce love that move.
I think they've used this trick too much in this show. I'm going to be honest.
They definitely have.
Yeah, but like you said, she looks down. The baby's birth. She has birthed the baby, and she realizes she's bit, so she has to cut the umbilical cord. Otherwise, the virus will transfer from her to the baby.
Right, and you get this sort of very tender moment where she's holding her newborn baby, but she's also got to reconcile with the fact that she's not going to be around much longer, and which is a really, really tough position. Narratively, that's like a wonderful thing to explore. I would imagine for Ashley Johnson as an actor, that had to she really had to sort of sink her teeth into that and have sort of that moment. And then we see Marlene come find her. Anna has got a knife to her throat because she's afraid that she could turn at any second. And the second she feels I'm assuming the second she feels herself starting to turn, she's going to stab herself. But she has no idea, I guess, Marlene's going to show up, and pretty much asks Marlene as her last dying wish to take care of her baby. And, Marlene's, she tries to push back, but, you can't really, right? I mean, your friend's going to die.
You got to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to do it. You don't have a choice.
Narratively, we learn that they've been friends since they were kids. A little bit of an exposition line here at some point that they've been friends for a long time. And, she takes the kid. And in a move that I really bugged me was Marlene hands the baby over to the gentleman that she's with, and she goes, cover up his ears, right? Just cover up his ears. And this guy,
Marlene's gonna shoot her, right? Marlene's gonna shoot Anna.
Marlene's gonna go in there and she's got to shoot one of her best friends. Not one image of this fucking guy covering up this baby's ears.
Yeah, why didn't I thought, you know what, it's funny because I gave the guy credit. I was like, well, maybe he put the jacket around the baby's ears and that was covering the baby's ears, but everybody else online was saying he didn't cover the baby's ears.
So people online were up in arms about it because
they were
okay,
all
great.
saying
I'm
did
glad.
Not cover the baby's ears. No.
It makes me feel human to know that that this was something other people thought about here, because it was like I didn't see any of this. I wonder if the actor did it and they just cut it for time or something. But Marlene goes in there, she shoots Anna, and it's a smash cut to Ellie as a baby, Ellie to 16-year-old Ellie, and it's a really great opening scene.
It really is.
Yeah.
And somebody in chat said cordyceps aren't a bloodborne pathogen, if I understand things correctly. Well, I don't think they would have asked otherwise, because Marlene asks Anna, says, "Hey, what about the baby?" And she's like, "No, I cut before," which isn't necessarily true. Obviously, we saw that she did not cut the umbilical cord before she was bit. So I wasn't sure, Mike. Good question. I don't know if cordyceps is bloodborne or whatever, but to me, I thought this scene did a really good job of explaining why Ellie might be immune, because maybe just enough of cordyceps had gotten into Anna. She cut the cord, just again, all happenstance, all just luck.
Yeah.
But maybe transferred just enough to baby Ellie to where she had it in her system, but it didn't turn her, and that's what made her immune. I don't know. I was just I was thinking about it.
I forget what I was listening to. It might have been the official pod, but it's something about how she does have the virus in her, but it's not enough to turn her, and it's enough for anytime she gets bit for the newer bite to recognize that, oh, we don't need to attack her because she already has it. And so the fungus backs off to just prove your point.
It was cool.
Yep.
And so I actually kind of appreciated that Neil and Craig were trying to maybe explain a little bit as to why Ellie had the immunity, which was nice.
It boggles the mind. And here we have Boggle.
Stop it.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, Kassem.
Here we go.
Is this what people tune in for?
Yes.
They tune in for this?
That's right. This is such a complete jarring segue. And there is Boggle the game. And it boggles the mind. And moving on, this is a kind of the dynamic here is clearly different between the two. Generally, we get Ellie, who's questioning a lot. She's very, I don't know, she's aggressive in conversation, and Joel's the one that's always deflecting or just going like, "You talk too much." But here it's kind of the other way around. Joel has sort of turned the corner, and he's, since the last episode in which he found her kind of in the snow, about to be, wed or eaten to some pervert. He's sort of like, it's his job now. He is the father figure in her life, and so he's doing what a father does, and part of that is, you want to play some board games?
That's right.
And she's not having it. What do you think is going on in her mind that's keeping her sort of like, is she going through her emo phase already, or is there something else going on with her?
That's a really good question. I don't know if the show kind of doesn't really explain what she's thinking about, other than maybe she is thinking ahead to when they get to the hospital.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, well, what am I going to have to do? Is this?
I think that's exactly it. I think that's exactly it.
I thought that's what the show was foreshadowing, but I mean, it could have been anything.
Could have been anything. Dark Silk says PTSD. It could be. It could be all that.
PTSD.
It could be an emo phase, right? Maybe she just found her first taste of The Cure on CD, and
I love that band. No, I hate that band, by the way.
Another layer of the onion. And so, I do think she is, because of the conversation that happens here in a little bit, but she's probably thinking about like, what is going to happen? Like, is sort of, this guy who is now sort of like kind of taken and rounded the corner and is sort of my dad, is he going to leave me? Is he not? And maybe she's struggling with that. That's the most I can say on that whole thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fun to see again the transition over the course of 9 episodes, because Joel is finally like, "Hey, you want to play some board games? Hey, you want some food? Hey, you want to go hang out?" Like, and Ellie's like, "Nah, we're good." when it's too bad because I wish that they had shown them finally connect a little bit.
Right. Yeah, it was nice.
But it was fun to see at least Joel convert into the dad.
It was, yeah.
I enjoyed that.
There was Jay Slate says I think she knew that she had to die to get the cure, which is also a possibility. Maybe she knew.
Very real possibility, yeah.
You know, maybe she's dealing with her own sort of like mortality there. I think that's very real. And thanks Entity for gifting Junior Black Dynamite a sub, and Entity for also gifting Atomic Scrunch a sub. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be doing more. If this is your first Bruce and Cass, don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to be doing. They call it Crass or Brat.
Well, Cruise or Brass. Cruise or Brass.
Cruise is kind of
Cruise or Brass, whatever you want. Or
Brass is not bad. Brass is not bad. It oxidizes at patinas, you know, especially at our age. So we're walking. We get to this city here, and then boom, we have the moment we kind of talked about. We hinted at a little bit earlier, the giraffe scene, right?
Giraffe.
We see giraffe.
Love it.
And this is the shot that made me think that there was definitely some CGI happening here. I didn't quite know that maybe they were all in the same room together. Maybe just they had these two actors. But it does make sense knowing that the giraffe and Joel and Ellie were all in the same room together.
I think. I mean, like, I don't know, but that was the way it.
Oh, I thought that's what I thought. We confirmed that earlier in this show.
Oh, did we? I just. This is the way I thought it worked, but I could be wrong. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that. Maybe they didn't do it this way.
God bless.
Do you know this scene has always reminded me of? Yeah. Always.
What's that?
Jurassic Park. Always.
Yes.
Always and I always thought that this scene was almost like an homage to Jurassic Park.
The do you think Saurus Rex moment where they're up in the tree?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what this has always felt like to me. But
I think you're right. No, I mean, there's no way you can do a scene like this without that sort of being either subconscious or conscious.
Yeah, maybe
sort of homage to it. Like I said, I've done this. I've been the one to feed the giraffes. They're one of the sexiest creatures. I'm on record as saying that.
And you're also hitting on a giraffe.
They are one of the sexiest creatures. Look at his long necks, long eyelashes, big old tongues. It'd be a beautiful, beautiful creature. And look here, Pedro Pascal, not even acting. He totally agrees with me here.
I think he's looking at Ellie there, not the giraffe.
Sure. All right. Well, we all interpret the show in our own ways, Bruce. And so here they have that conversation that we were just maybe talking about, right? They're sort of like, well, what happens after? And Joel sort of pleads with her. He's like, why don't we just we could just not go.
Let's just turn it around. Yeah, let's just go to Tommy.
Yeah, what's she have to say about that?
She's like, no, I want to go and try. I want to go and see if I can be a cure. Which I've always liked about Ellie.
Yeah, she's like responsible in the ways that count. Do you know what I mean? And even though she's a kid, the stuff that matters, like trying to save humanity, she feels that burden, and she wants to she knows that it's bigger than her, this whole thing.
That's right.
And then she can be a kid in so many ways. You know, she really wants a gun. You know, she wants to do a lot of little kid stuff, but then on the big stuff, oh yeah, could be the key to saving humanity. Yeah, I'll step up there.
Super mature. She was saying that there was a few lines that were coming out of Ellie in this episode. I was like, that's really mature for what is she, 14, 15?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a super mature character. And I was like, I gotta hand it to her. I'm all about her sacrifice and what she's doing for the human race.
That's right. And this is kind of a nice moment here, a sort of conversation where they really have three major heart-to-hearts here, but this is the big one, right? The one before they get to the hospital where they say everything except I love you, but they do it in their own way. You know, they'll never I don't think you'll ever hear those words come out of them, but you will hear them say he pretty much tells her you're the reason why I keep going. You'll find a reason. And it was a really sort of touching moment that was and as we know, anytime there's a touching moment, it's always followed by
interrupted.
Yeah.
Always interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, she says because I guess this wasn't. Tidirium was saying that this necessarily wasn't part of the Joel lore in the game, but Joel reveals that he tried to kill himself.
Yes.
And
They added that.
Flinched and missed. They did add that. Okay, I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if that was lore.
Yeah,
they
mentioned that in the pod how they added that, and I think it's a good addition, and it shows you kind of like how little his life meant to him at one point, and maybe sometimes we can all sort of find ourselves in positions where we're not feeling great about ourselves or about life, but if you kind of soldier on, and you'll come across something that's worth living for, just like Joel has found.
Absolutely, and she says a line talking about his suicide when she goes, "Oh, well, I guess time heals all wounds, huh?"
Yes.
And he goes, what? He says something really poetic that I'm not going to get right, but he says, "Well, it's not always time," or something like that, because he's referring to her.
Yeah.
Which is just it melts your heart.
Right. Yeah. And we don't have the exact. It's impossible for me to go back and figure it out. And I also just don't give enough of a shit to do it. And you guys have watched it, so you know. The moment we're talking about. And yeah, so it's this moment they're sort of.
It wasn't time that healed me. There it is.
It wasn't time. It wasn't time that healed me.
Cats wouldn't Google for 1 second.
No,
that's all right. We have chat to do that.
That's what chat's for, and that's part of the reason why we do this live. Yeah. Wasn't time to heal me. And what happens next?
Well, a flashbang hits their feet.
Yep.
And Ellie goes down. She's flashed. Nobody's hurt, but they can't really. They're sort of disoriented. And then Joel takes a rifle butt to the back of the head.
Mm-hmm. And if this was Call of Duty, flashbangs do like 25 points of damage. So
do they? I didn't know that.
Okay. Yeah, you can always use a flashbang to finish off a downed enemy. So just like a heads up. This look that he's got here when he's in the bed, right before he discovers that he's in the Firefly Hospital. This is like every show we get. He's doing this face for about 80% of the show. You
mean Pedro Pascal?
Yeah, it's like concern, serious concern. Do you know what I mean?
I think the only time we don't get that from him is Oberyn in Game of Thrones. Because Game of Thrones, he's like really jovial and arrogant.
He's a little flamboyant. He's like he's light in the loafers.
I love it. But you're right though. Every other show, he's this concerned old man. He's always like crinkling his whole face.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised that this part here is like in the center where his eyebrow isn't just like a deeper, more worn in. It's a wonderful look. He does play it really well, but then he figures out it's Marlene, and he has a tough conversation here.
Yeah. Talk about a tough conversation.
This is a tough conversation, Bruce. What happens? What'd she say to him?
Maybe the toughest conversation in the entire narrative, where Marlene is like, hey, yeah, well, he goes, well, hold on, where's Ellie? Mm-hmm. She says, I'm getting prepped for surgery.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, well, can I go and hang out with her? And Marlene's like, no, you can't do that. And well, why not? We're just gonna take a little piece out of her, right? And Marlene says, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's in her brain. Yeah, it's in her brain. We're gonna have to get it out of her brain, like the doctor said.
But she could have the cure. This could be it.
This could be the cure for all of humanity, but it is in Ellie's brain, and that means that Ellie's going to die. So.
Yeah, this is what to me is what's so great about this game and this show is that it is such a gray area here, right? There is no clear this person's in the right. It's what makes this show so interesting and fun to talk about is like, what would you do, Bruce? Or what, who do you agree with? Do you agree with Joel or do you agree with Marlene? Like, which side of the fence do you, but we know Joel agrees with Joel. And as she tells, she tells him to go like, kick rocks. Don't worry. We're going to handle it. We've got to escort you out. We're not going to kill you. And Joel does what Joel does best, which is take lives of other men.
Boy, is he good at it.
Remember this part in the game? This part in the game took me a while. And I was playing on
it took everybody a while.
And I was playing on the easiest mode. It was a lot of ducking and shooting and picking up. I think this is where you pick up the assault rifle for the first time. I had my flamethrower at this part in the game.
Of course.
Could you imagine if he had that in this? Like, it would have just been amazing. And yeah, he just goes on like a fucking killing spree, and he does a lot of tough things. And there's even a guy that has his like let me quick to the next slide here. There's a guy who has like his hands up, and he's like, no, dude, I'm good, and he shoots him anyways. Yeah, this guy right here.
Shoots him anyways. All of your chat is saying, and basically everyone's saying in chat, this part felt rushed, and I completely agree. I thought that the part of Marlene explaining to Joel what's going on with Ellie felt rushed. I also think that him going through and killing everybody felt rushed.
Right.
100%. I thought that they could have added another 10 minutes for this, and I would have been fine with it.
This goes to my point that I said at the beginning of the show, which is I'm having trouble making that emotional connection between the two, and it's because of stuff like this. Technically, they're showing everything that we need to see for us to believe what's happening, but there isn't that moment for it to really sink in because we're already on to the next moment. This is something that Station 11 masters, and it knows where these moments are, and it really lets you sit with these moments. And it would have been if this was Station 11, would have been a whole episode of him just getting back to Ellie. It was, I understand what they're doing. I understand what they're doing here because there's so much story and they had to make some choices. Part of why it feels rushed is also because it just took us so long to get through in the game, and so we have something to compare it to. But even then, I still feel it was a little rushed. And I think Ashley also agrees with me here too. Yeah, she's nodding. Yes.
I think everybody. Like again, the episode's only 43 minutes. I mean, like you could do the full hour. Like that's to me. I was like, at HBO, you go ahead and do the full hour. It's okay.
Here's the thing. Do you think they thought about that and they were like, it just would have been 10 more minutes of Joel around corners shooting people, and they're like, do we really want to see that? Like, what would you have liked? In chat, you can answer this too. What would you guys have liked to see? Would you have liked to see more of just this part that we're looking at here, or is there other stuff? Yeah. Well, what about you, Bruce?
I wanted to see more dialogue between Marlene and Joel, because and I actually thought this about the video game a little bit too, but there are so many questions that I have with Marlene and Joel where, like, I would have, if I were Joel, I would have been like, hey, did you ask Ellie about sacrificing your life? Did she say yes? Have you talked to other doctors?
Right.
Do we have to kill her? Like, there's a lot of fleshing out in this, because this, in my opinion, is the crux of the whole narrative. This conversation, I think the entire narrative fixates on this. So for me, I was just like, give me anything else. A one-line explainer as to maybe Marlene is lying and says that Ellie did say yes, or, whatever. Just something, anything to sort of flesh this out. She didn't tell Ellie. I know that. But what I'm saying is, like, I would have had so many questions if I were Joel. I would have been like just rapid firing, saying things, not just like, oh, okay, I guess you're going to kill her. I will kill everyone. Like, I wouldn't have that.
Like, can I see some blood work? Can I see like a test?
Just anything.
Yeah.
Just anything. This has always been my minor issue with this narrative, is that everyone just sort of nods and goes, okay, and then they all take action.
Right.
So that's why. Just give me a few more minutes of this. I wouldn't have minded that at all.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think that's a good point, and I think most of us agree with you. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, and we got what we got, and everything else sort of from here on out, it plays almost exactly like it does in the game. There is the fucking, like, one of the last surgeons, I gotta imagine, that's alive out there.
Brain surgeons
is just fucking shot like in a heartbeat. And he's essentially like, he doesn't have time for anyone, doesn't want to hear anything, and he just wants to, get Ellie and get out of there. And wonderful job with the brains here. Really good brain work.
Really great brain work. And I mean, like, we all know why. If you played the second game, we know why they showed this.
Yes, they needed time because I think we'll eventually go back here. And by the way, this actress here is the voice actor for Abby in the second game. And this is the only role that they could have got her on one of the last days of shooting, according to the podcast that they do. Her name is Laura Bailey, and yeah, she does. She plays Abby. And if you know anything about the second installment of the game, you know that there's this plays into it, and we don't need to get into it until you can do your own deep dive research. But it all sort of ties in together. And here's Joel, obviously taking her out. There was no sort of shootout on the way out. He just conveniently might have killed everyone or just found the quickest elevator.
He killed everybody.
Okay,
I think
great.
He killed everyone.
Amazing. He's like Rambo.
I mean, he killed like 20 dudes, right? He killed 20 fully armed guys with like assault rifles and body armor and no issue. It's just all the way around.
He does a wonderful sort of like that look that he does where he's disconnected from his emotions and he's just in kill mode. Pedro Pascal does a wonderful version of that. But he meets Marlene down here in the parking garage, and she's like, look, dude, I get it, but there's still time. She's going to save the world. You're making the wrong decision. And he takes one look at Ellie, and then we cut to the car. So we know that he gets away. Ellie sort of wakes up. She's in her gown, and she's kind of like, why? What's happening? And we find out that he essentially just shot. Let me take you here.
Oh yeah.
They played around with the editing here a little bit, and he shoots Marlene. She still goes, look, you still can make the right choice. I get it. You can still do it, dude. And he's like, no. She's like, don't kill me. He's like, I have to, because you'll just come for her. And bang.
Puts a bullet right in her head. Yeah, right there. There it is. Just puts a bullet.
Fathers, be good to your daughters. I was thinking a lot about John Mayer today. And so here we're on our way back to Colorado, back to Tommy's. And before we get there, we got to have one last conversation. What's she asked Joel here? What's this convo about?
What a great... Was this in the game? Was this conversation in the game?
Yes.
It was. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
This is so well acted.
It's really good.
By these two. And she's... Ellie... it's interesting because Ellie kind of smells that something's up.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, wait, why did this play out the way it did?
Yeah.
So she stops Joel as they're walking to Tommy's fort, and she says, hey, promise me you're telling the truth about the fact that they didn't need me and that there are a bunch of people immune. Promise me that, Joel. And he goes, I promise.
Yeah.
He just says straight up,
I swear.
Everything was fine. I swear. I swear. I
Mm-hmm.
promise.
Mm-hmm.
And Ellie goes, okay.
Yeah. Do you think Ellie buys it when he says that he swears it?
No, I don't think so. But she's never going to get the truth. So,
yeah. This is a wonderful scene. This is like...
It is. It's great.
It's really... Bella Ramsey, like... This would be one of the scenes I would have had her audition with. I feel like if they had this part written, it's just so much she's doing here as an actress. There is like, tell me the truth. Tell me that you didn't just fuck up the cure for humanity. And he tells her, and she doesn't believe him, but she says, okay. Okay, I'm going to also believe this lie, but I'm not. She's saying so much. I'm also going to believe this lie, but I kind of have to. There's nothing I can do about it now.
No, yeah, she doesn't have a choice.
She doesn't have a choice, and that's where the episode ends, and that's where the game ends. And they're on their way to Tommy's, and so thus concludes The Last of Us Season 1. I mean, overall, very strong show. Absolutely. You guys know we both really liked this. But what out of 10 as a professional TV watcher, what do you rate this show?
It's such a great this is to me on the order. It's almost close to Breaking Bad, where Breaking Bad, and I'm not saying Breaking Bad one of the greatest shows of all time. I'm just meaning I'll make this analogy right now. I liked Breaking Bad a ton. I knew Breaking Bad was a great television show, and I really loved watching it up until the last season. Yeah. And the reason is because the characters themselves, the narrative for me became a slog in the sense that I knew that these characters were so bad that I didn't want to watch them do anything anymore. That's me. That's just my own personal preference. That said, though, the show itself, awesome. Same with this show. So for me, this is probably a 9 out of 10. The television show is so well made, and generally so good. There's a couple of minor issues I've got with the narrative, but otherwise just fantastic. So
9 out of 10. I think that's a very fair score. I gotta go 8 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
I felt a little but here's the thing: 8 out of 10 for a TV show is still. This is an excellent show,
yeah,
right?
It's
so well made. It's it elevates the source material, and the source material is a video game that's considered one of the best games ever made, right? So this is a wonderful adaptation, and everything that they changed was for the better. Wonderfully acted, but there were just some emotional misses. The connections. There was just some connection issues, some spotty Wi-Fi in the connection issues, and it was still a very, very good show. And I would recommend this to anyone that was a fan of the game or not. That being said, I would say if you're looking for a show that has what this show doesn't, you got to go see Station 11.
So, I mean, Station 11 is, I kind of agree with you, actually. I having just watched it, I think it probably does score a little higher. Still have issues with that narrative. I have one major issue with that narrative that you and I will talk about later. But
yeah,
but it's great. And yeah, I'd say Station 11. All right, you know what? Kassem, you've convinced me. I'm afraid. I'm going to be really honest with you right now on the podcast, and with everybody that's listening.
Let's do it.
I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm afraid to say that I don't like this television show because I take so much actual, like literal abuse, verbal abuse from people. Actual verbal abuse. So I am going to say an 8 out of 10 with you. I tell you, man. Anything I say on this podcast or anything else about The Last of Us, people come in, start insulting me and saying like, "Oh, your taste is bad," and all this other bullshit.
The people that subscribe to your channel on YouTube.
People that come to my channel to watch the podcast.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I would say yes, the Station 11 is probably a 9 out of 10, whereas this is an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Look, and I understand, what you said about you got bored of the art and the sort of like hoity-toity, the pretentiousness. But I think here's the thing. I think if there was a world-ending pandemic, the only things that we would go back and really be able to, technology and things like that is fine, but like when we study ancient cultures, we study their art and their music. And I feel like we have to, as a society, that's the thing that separates us from the goddamn apes. And so for them to have a traveling symphony that makes music and performs plays and things like that, I felt the same way about it that you did, which was like, look at these freaking theater nerds. I will tell you that I bet you most of those people weren't theater people in the pre-pandemic. This couple were, but like that guy that does the audition with the Independence Day speech, like those are people that just became and saw the value in preserving art and the music that was alive during their time, and it was their job to carry it forward, and that's why I think that show is that show is a 10 out of 10.
We're talking about Station 11.
Station 11, and we're done with Last of Us, guys. We're done with it. Fucking, it's over. I really had a great time doing this with you week after week. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna find something else to do together. We might take a couple weeks off until the next show comes out, or maybe we agree on it. But Bruce, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come do it with me. And thanks to the chat for being here live every week. Thanks to the YouTube audience on Bruce's channel that's watching this on VOD. If you guys want to see more, please let us know. And if you don't, shut your goddamn mouth.
Kassem, I want to make sure, again, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Everybody in chat, Kassem worked incredibly hard on this podcast, along with our graphic designer that also put the graphics together.
88 miles per hour, shout out.
Yeah, 88. I want to make sure we get huge thank yous for Kassem and 88 miles per hour, because I had the easy job. I just come in here and talk with Kassem. Kassem was putting together all the slideshows and watching podcasts and all that other stuff. So please make sure you say thank you to those gentlemen, because they worked very, very hard on this. And yeah, I've got an idea that I got an idea that maybe Kassem and I, maybe he'll have fun doing.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not going to say it on here, but I have an idea.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, how about that for a tease, huh? Make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Click the notification bell. That way, you know, every time Bruce uploads a VOD, you're on it. You get to come watch it. I stream on Twitch every Monday through Thursday, and also sometimes Fridays at 10 a.m. Bruce, you're on every day, usually around 1 p.m.
That's right.
And that's it. Anything else?
That's it. I mean, you know what? I've got a lot of thoughts about this Last of Us narrative, but I'm just gonna leave it at this show is a good show.
It's a good show, and we're all better for having seen it.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, until next time, everyone, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to hit the end record button, but the stream will still be up, okay?